Hi everyone, and welcome to Mitch and Sam's study session, where we sit down and discuss all relevant podcasts, documentaries, and relevant topics in order to remain a student for life. This is going to help you along your journey on fasting. And today we're going to be discussing the latest Parasite Summit that's out there right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Actually, I've never actually come across a big chunk of information on parasites, and while I've had my speculations about what parasites are and what they can do to the body, I think this is going to really help us out a lot.
Yeah, and it's so funny because only recently more parasite talk has come up for us, and so it was only talking about relevance. It was very relevant that we came across this, and I think it's good discussion because so far it hasn't fully been released yet, so we've only been able to review a few of the videos, but they've been phenomenal in terms of information that's actually out there.
Yeah, definitely. And just to give everyone at home a bit of detail about what we're talking about right now is there's a summit that is about to be on for free for everyone at home from 11 of September until 18 of September 2017. So if you are watching this video before then, you'll find a link on this page somewhere that you can go ahead and register for free. However, what we've done to get access to this, well, a bit of wind picking up here, what we've done to get access to this early is we've actually purchased the All Access Pass, essentially, where it's also available to you if you do want to do that. But I think, as soon as I saw this summit, I knew I had to purchase that pass because this is information that we want to go back to over and over again because it's not very widely spoken about. It's a rare topic, but I think it's so important. The more I begin to, especially after listening to just the first 3 interviews, the more that I begin to understand, the more that I think parasites is the most overlooked health issue that we have in the Western world today. And I think it really stems into a lot of the other diseases, which we'll get into as well. So this one's by Dr. J. Davidson, just so that you know and you're aware.
Do you want to talk about a parasite experience that you've had?
Actually, what about this? We're going to do a blog post that is attached to this. So if you do want to check this out, go to fastwaytohealth.com/blog and you'll be able to find it in there somewhere. I'll pop a picture in there and it's going to be an interesting picture. If you're a little bit queasy in the stomach, then maybe
probably don't go there.
Don't look at it. But that was something that I got out of me after a colon cleanse and onto day 2 of a water fast, I believe, where this thing came out of me. I sent it to my dad the other day and he goes, "That's an alien." What is it? But it was about probably 2 to 3 feet long. Just this build up. I don't know if it was mucoid plaque from the body that was built up or if it was, some sort of a parasite. It wasn't alive and it wasn't kicking, so it's probably a build up of plaque. But I've also had just in the last fast last month that a couple of real smaller type parasites as well come out of the body that were more like a slug. So interesting times as you start to cleanse the body. What about you? Haven't you had some?
Well, yeah. So in the last fast that we did, the extended fast, I recognised I was doing enemas because I was feeling shitty, and then I don't know if I want to go into detail, but yeah, why not? And then I was noticing like sensations that were just really uncomfortable, and so it was after a day of doing an enema, I think, and then I went to the toilet later on in that day, and it was during one of the juices that was very hard on the digestive system, so really cleansing everything out of the stomach, and out came similar thing. I think it was probably a plaque buildup of some kind because there wasn't a legit parasite looking back at me, but it was probably about that long in a string formation coming like in the bathroom, in the toilet. Like what? Mind blown. So that stuff's living in there. Like I don't want that in there. Like I prefer and instantly felt better. Instantly.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I was like, oh my gosh. So it's crazy what's in people's bodies, and that's like from like I haven't been eating even meat for like the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, I start to understand that parasites can come into the body a lot of different ways, which we'll cover here in this little session.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does get a little bit weird. It starts getting a bit weird. I don't know if I told you this one when things start hanging halfway out and you've got to like pull the rest out. That's when it gets a little bit
anyway, moving on.
So you had some interviews that you that we started listening to.
Yeah, so I've listened to 2.
And I've done 1 plus a couple of little bonuses that we'll talk about. Ideally, keep this under 20 minutes. So that means we've got 15 minutes to nail these.
All right, sweet. I'll take it away.
Take it away.
Cool. So I started off with Dr. Joggers on digestion for parasite prevention. Dr. Joggers is one of my favorites. We've had him on our summit, and he's always got loads of brilliant information. So I absolutely loved this talk. I thought it's something that I never had really thought about of like how you can, certain things you can be putting into your digestion and foods, and also making sure your digestive tract is clear that could prevent you from having parasites. So the first thing he spoke about was, well, what is the 4 juices that are going to protect us in the digestive system? And there's a production, and the first one is saliva. So saliva helps us break down and metabolize food. Salivating stimulates the rest of the body ready for this process. So that's why, we talk a lot on when we're breaking fast in particular to smell the food and touch the food and get the saliva juices happening. And it's not just when breaking a fast, obviously, it's like whenever you're going to eat. So that's a really important one. The second one was stomach acid. So this is actually, it sterilizes the food, so it's super important. So microbes will then get into, so if your stomach acid isn't good, then microbes can get into it and then go into the intestines and reproduce. So you want to have a strong stomach acid. Yeah. The next one is bile. So the bile actually sterilizes the small intestine. So if there's microbes that have actually been able to get in, then it's going to kill these bad microbes off. And interesting enough, if you don't have a gallbladder, so if you've had it removed, you're the most receptive to getting parasites because you don't produce as much bile.
Interesting. I've actually heard the same from Don Tolman when they talk about your appendix. Your appendix is supposed to be a natural protector against parasites as well. And as you know, I had mine removed when I was a young child. So it's sort of no wonder. It sort of makes sense to me that, I've had a lot of these symptoms that we talk about that are parasites. Yeah,
well, there you go. And then the 4th one is the pancreatic enzyme. So this actually breaks down the food and alkalizes the small intestine. So you can see how they're all kind of linked to each other. So some good advice he had was that the more stress we're under, when we're eating especially, the less effective the digestive juice production is. So you're going to create more inflammation and damage if you're eating whilst you're stressed. Now he didn't, and then so automatically I like that because I don't like when you're eating if you're in a shitty mood or if you're having an argument or if you're like not having a great conversation. Like I don't like eating in those environments because I know the benefits of putting food in when you're happy and in love. But he mentions that, throughout the day, if you've got a stressful job, if you're under physical stress, like with, you're doing a hard workout, things like that also play a part. So you could just turn to liquid nutrition for that time. Because they're already pre-digested. So having smoothies, juices, anything that's been in a blender, that's done most of it for you.
Nice.
So going through stressful times, stick to a liquid nutrition.
Nice, I like it. Big fan of that.
Yeah. And then he went on to talk about foods for digestion. So herbs is a massive one. So herbs like your ginger, cinnamon, coriander, turmeric, basil, rosemary, oregano, all of those things. You can add them to smoothies on top of food or tonics, and also have herbal teas. That's an awesome one to include every day. Apple cider vinegar. So this helps to stimulate all those digestive juices. And if you drink it 30 minutes before any meal that you're having, it helps to enhance your digestive juices.
Not just in the morning. Nice. Cool.
Yep. And lemon in water is another one. Bone broth. So this has a lot of amino acids in there that actually helps the gut to heal itself, which we haven't done a lot of bone broths and stuff. So,
yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, okay. Coconut. So good fats, easy to digest, and it's an anti-inflammatory as well. And then you've got like your chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and these are all favoring the right forms of microbes in the gut. So I mean, a lot of these foods we add in already to smoothies and stuff, so it's really good to know that these things are going to help prevent from parasites, but also help with the digestive tract. Yeah, so good information. Interesting. He spoke about how fermented foods and FODMAP foods, if you're having small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is a form of parasite, or going into a parasite, you'll struggle with these types of foods. So a lot of people, and I think we've had this mentality as well, is that any gut health, you need to have fermented foods.
Yeah.
Like you kombucha and kimchi and sauerkraut and things like that. Well, actually, if you're doing that and you're getting bloating and you're getting gas and you're getting these types of symptoms, it's actually not doing great for you. So it's doing the opposite. So instead of, feeling like with gut health, you need to overload yourself with these foods, and cauliflower and broccoli and these types of vegetables are also included in that. If you get bloated from these types of foods, then it's going to be doing the opposite effect. So you want to slowly lead into it. So not immerse yourself in all these foods, but just add little bits here and there and just slowly add it in, because everyone has their own tolerance point and you need to find that tolerance point.
Yeah.
So if you slowly add it in and you get to the point where, you're feeling bloated or you're feeling not great, then just ease back a little bit and just stick to that tolerance point for now.
Yeah, cool.
Which I liked. Then the next thing he talked on was reflux. So a lot of things that we're putting in is meaning that our stomach acid is not producing enough of the acid that it needs. And a good sign is if you've eaten something, and Dr. Jog has used his example, which is peanut butter. If he eats peanut butter, because he loves it, straight after, he'll need to clear his throat. Like he'll start clearing his throat, and he's like, that's a form of reflux coming up, meaning that it's not good for your stomach acid. So they went on then to talk about a lot of supplements and a lot of chemistry in the pH levels, and I got a little bit lost and would prefer to stick to more of a natural base than supplement. But they went on to talk about that, and an interesting test that we could actually do is the baking soda test. So if you have 4 ounces, whatever that is in Aussie, but for a lot of our American listeners, 4 ounces of water, drop in a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and drink it in the morning on an empty stomach. And if you have enough stomach acid in your stomach, it will produce carbon dioxide, and you should naturally burp within 3 minutes.
Interesting.
If you don't, if you burp within 3 to 5 minutes, it means it's low stomach acid. And if it's 5 minutes or you don't burp at all, it means you're very deficient in stomach acid. So we could actually do that.
Yeah.
And having low stomach acid, a parasite potentially in there is a reason why.
Yeah.
So you could do things like licorice root, aloe vera, and things like that are going to build up your stomach acid.
Cool.
And then finally, another tip that's really good as well was diffusing essential oils. It's like thyme or oregano before you eat. It's also putting it in the air. And also don't forget to chew your food, even smoothies. Chewing our food is a massive one, even if it's solid food, like 30 to 40 times is what we want to chew. So eating slowly, which we're always still working on, this stimulates the digestive system, and that's why chewing gum all the time is bad, because it's constantly using the energy in your digestive system and switching it on, which you don't want to do. So to be able to get over or prevent parasites, these are the things that you want to follow.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Moving on, I'll cover these quickly. We've only got 5 minutes to go, but basically there's a few bonuses in there that are super helpful. So one by Trina Hammock and one by Anne-Louise Gittleman. They both have some ebooks in there as bonuses. They're also speakers on the summit, which we've not had the chance to listen to yet. But you can actually go through and do a quiz, and there's a certain limit of if you tick the boxes, then there's a pretty high chance that you've actually got parasites. Now, some of those questions in there are super simple, like have you travelled outside your country? And most people have these days, and so there's a lot of really simple ones in there. There's also a funny quote from in the interview that I'm about to talk about, where one doctor actually says to his patients, when they ask about parasites, do you have parasites? And he says, come here. And he puts his 2 fingers on their pulse, and he's like, yep, you've got a pulse, so you've got parasites. that's how prevalent they can be in today's society. A few of the ways that you can find out, which I took from Anne Louise Gittleman's book, was if you experience any of these health problems, which is the inability to lose or gain weight, diabetes, hypoglycemia, hypothyroidism, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, vague joint and muscle aches, depression, hyperactivity, anemia, and insomnia can all be all sort of the symptoms for parasites. So plus there are others out there as well. So there are a couple of cool little bonuses as well. One that I looked into was Dr. Jay Davidson, and he's the host of the summit, but he had a guest come in and interview him on a topic as well. And to start with, there's over 134 different types of parasites. Parasite tests only test anywhere between 3 to 5 of them. So even if you are getting a test and they come back negative, then chances are you still have parasites. They're just undetectable. And also what was really fascinating is that there are little parasites living inside of the bigger parasites inside of the body. And the parasites also store toxins in the body. So the body, so this is how the mind of a parasite works synchronistically to the body, is that the body doesn't want toxicity in the body. So when the parasite is holding onto those toxins, the body is okay to keep the parasites there. So the first point of call is to get rid of toxicity out of the body. Because if you get rid of the toxicity, then that means that your body's starting to look for other things that it can cleanse. And now it can finally get rid of the parasites.
So that's why they come out when we're doing water fasts and things like that, because your body's so clean already.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah. So if you think about the parasites, they are a huge sponge for holding on to toxins, but also heavy metals as well. They love heavy metals, the parasites, and they hold on to them. And so they went on to heavy metals a little bit more, saying that it's not really easy to test for heavy metals either. There's a few different ways, but they find that they've all got their weaknesses and they're not truly accurate, but the best one's probably urine testing to find out if you've got heavy metals in the body. But when you start cleansing, you can get the taste of metal in your mouth. I know you, Sam, had it coming out of your skin. You could feel it coming out of your skin.
Yeah, that was during a Kabbalah fast, I think, juice fast. I had it coming, I could taste it, and I had it coming out of my skin, and I was using the sauna and stuff as well.
Yeah.
During that time. But yeah, little bits of metal were coming out of my cheek, and yeah.
So crazy. And then Dr. J goes on, he talks about how he removed 2 20-inch worms from his body, plus a lot of 4-inch worms. And then he said there's a lot of these really small parasites, just like the size of a stapler. They're called pinworms, and they're the ones that make your butt itchy and all of those things, that came out for like a month afterwards as well. What's really fascinating is as you start to cleanse, so he gave a product there, Mimosa pudica, which is a herb actually found in Bali. But you've got to give it a fair go, because there's different stages of the parasites where they're actually at. So some of them are in their eggs, some of them are just developing. So you've got to give it like a month and a half to get rid of them. And they can, the mum and the dad parasites, they can lay up to 20,000 eggs per day inside the body. So, like, if you really put all of these things together, this is a serious issue, right? Yeah. So it's super fascinating. I'm going to skip through a little bit more because there's something really, really fascinating that I wanted to talk about at the end here. But before I move on to that, just a few other symptoms, which most of these are what I experienced as a teenager. So it really makes sense the more I put all of this together, is that some of the other symptoms would be acne, sensitive skin, unbalanced brain chemicals which cause suicidal thoughts, a sensitive digestive tract, food allergies, allergic to milk and milk products, the grinding of teeth, and pieces of tooth actually coming off. But here's what I wanted to finish with. Parasites are very smart and manipulative, and they don't want to be detectable. And there's a book called Your Brain on Parasites, which is written specifically around animals for farmers. But there's a section in there that they mention where the parasites The parasites can go into an ant. So they did tests on this. The parasites can go into an ant and manipulate the ant's brain to change its behavior. And what it does is normally the ant will do its work in the daytime and then go hibernate wherever it does at the nighttime and rest. However, when the parasites get into the brain, they make the ants, so as they work as normal throughout the day, but at nighttime, they actually manipulate the ant's brain so much that it makes the ant go and sit on top of a blade of grass, because the specific parasite they're talking about is their host is the sheep. So they make the ant go on top of a blade of grass because that's the highest likelihood that a sheep's going to come up and eat that grass and go into the sheep's body. How incredible is that? So if that can happen to an animal, it's not a huge stretch that it can happen to humans as well. And I've said this in a course that I did last year. I said, if you've ever said that you're hangry, so hungry and angry at the same time, there's something inside of me that says that's parasites. And I don't have anything to back that up except for my truth. And when I speak my truth, I get goosebumps. I've got goosebumps right now in my body. And I truly believe that so much of the anger people experience in this world is because of the nasty parasites in the body. And this is why this topic is so important. And this is why I bought this product, because I want to go back to it over and over again. Yeah. So that's my little wrap up for that session.
Definitely so agree. Important. So important. Wow, that's epic. And I know we don't have much time, so I want to go on to Pooja Wentworth, because she talked about something so interesting and it kind of connects. But she spoke on fever therapy, and fever therapy is an ancient remedy for sweating, basically. And I really resonated with this, because I used to think, like, I used to be really embarrassed when I used to sweat, like especially as a young girl and stuff. And when you're trying to be cool and you've got like sweat marks, it's like, what the hell? So I hated sweating so much until recently, in the last year, I've loved the feeling of sweating. So I love saunas and I love hot yoga, and I just love the sweat pouring out, and like when you've done a sweaty workout. And she spoke about how she had Lyme disease growing up, and she tried everything, and she had so many different things like heavy metals and rheumatoid arthritis and chronic pain and migraines and all these things, and the only cure for her was fever therapy, where you put yourself, you induce a fever on yourself, so you heat up your temperature, whether that's in infrared sauna. There's things now where people are going and over in Europe putting themselves into hypothermia and doing all drastic things, but you can do it by just doing a infrared sauna. And similar to what you said, testing it in the urine, getting parasites tested, she said one of the most, the best ways you can test is through sweating, but there's nothing out there, and there's no lab anything out there right now that's testing our sweat. But when we are sweating, what can come out is pesticide chemicals, chlorine chemicals, heavy metals, Agent Orange. All these things can come out and be detected in our sweat. Super interesting. And I'll breeze through this now, but what I really liked, I'll just talk about the benefits. So the benefits of fever therapy is it's going to reduce the plasma glucose, which is the blood sugar level, and this is what parasites and bad bacteria feed off. It lowers cortisol and stress, and it increases happy hormones like endorphins. The increased heat shock protein, which apparently is something that's going to be coming up a lot in the next 5 years. But what this is, it releases natural body mechanisms to repair the signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, memory loss that occurs when chronic stress is happening in the pathogens. And increase cellular energy. So then you have more stamina for things like DNA repair, healing, and rebuilding of the body, which we liked that. I liked that because it reminds me of fasting, right? So it's like another thing that you can use with fasting, but also if you're not going through a fast, still doing this fever therapy, and still going through this rebuilding and healing and repairing. And the lymphatic work. So obviously, if your lymph is blocked, you look puffy, you feel horrible, nothing's going to be healing as well. So the sauna and the fever is going to help get the lymph flowing, and also help with regeneration. And parasites don't like heat.
Okay, interesting.
And to back that up, she said back in some time, when they had syphilis, they injected someone with malaria, which is a form of parasite, to induce a fever, and that got rid of the syphilis.
It's like fighting fire with fire.
Crazy.
Interesting.
But yeah, so if anyone's interested, you want to stay really hydrated before you get into the sauna, like at least an hour before. And then as you go in, keeping up the electrolytes, 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. And if you do it in the morning, it's going to increase your metabolic capacities, cardiovascular, increase oxygen, and allow you to have more energy through the day. So it's got amazing benefits, but linking in with parasites, I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I caught a little bit of that when they were talking about everything needs to be open, all the channels of elimination.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as mine. I skipped over that before, but I think that's super important. The more that all the channels are open for elimination, specifically around the colon, kidneys, liver, lymph, brain, skin, then the more chance we have at eliminating all of this stuff out of our bodies. And going back to what you're saying about sweating, I think I was the same. I sweated profusely as a child, as a teenager, and to the point where we were even buying these stuff to put under my arms to block the sweat, which is so bad for the body, especially in that lymph area. I have a question.
Oh my God, I just remembered that.
I have a question for you. Now that you're supporting your body to sweat a lot, do you now find that you sweat less normal day to day?
Yeah, but I think I do sweat less because I used to not be able to wear certain shirts and stuff because I would get like sweat marks really badly. Yeah. Definitely not like that anymore. It's like a healthy sweat and even sweat. So I used to not be able to sweat and now I notice like for doing hot yoga, for instance, I like literally evenly sweat everywhere. Like it comes out for like my arms, my legs, everywhere. Whereas it used to would just come out of like my underarms or like certain areas. So it's more of an even sweat and healthy kind of like it feels good. It doesn't feel gross or smell bad.
Yeah, it doesn't smell bad. Yeah, definitely.
But if like so many people think that not sweating is a good thing, it's actually the opposite. It's like you're blocked somewhere. There's a path that's blocked and you need to work on that. And sauna is something that I think helped me be able to sweat more.
Yeah. And I think doing the guasha opens up the whole skin, which we do, pretty much religiously now. Yeah. Such an important point as well. So, I don't know. I'm excited for the rest of these.
Yeah.
Like we said, this is only the top three that we've watched so far.
Yeah. Really cool points of views and perspectives.
Definitely. So, what I would love to do is invite you guys at home to click on the link on this page or attach to this post somewhere where you can actually register for the summit for free. Now, it's very, very rare that we'll promote another summit that we're not actually speaking on. So it just goes to show the importance of this topic and how relevant we think it is to fasting and your fasting journey and just getting healthy in general because it's a new topic for most people and I think it's super important. The more we can understand, the more that it's going to support you on your journey. So I encourage you to do that. If you want to just dive in like we did and purchase, I'll even throw a purchase link on there. We do get a small commission from these events, but all we do is use that information to continue to upgrade our equipment like this and the cameras and get more and more content out to you. So your appreciation for the work that we do can be showed through that and we are super grateful for it as well. So any parting words, Sam?
Any parting words? Get rid of your parasites. No, I don't know, but just have a listen and let us know your most interesting point that you take out of the summit if you choose to listen, because it's no longer a topic where you need to hide away from. I think it's fun to talk about.
Definitely let us know your fun conversations of any parasite experiences as well in the comments, and we'll be sure to have a laugh with you. So
see you guys.